So I'm Tom Riley. I'm the director of the Department of Natural Resources here in Nebraska. So Natural Resources is an agency of about 100 folks that comprises scientists, engineers, and technicians. We're the state's data collector for natural resource information that includes stream flow, rainfall. We work with floodplain management, dam safety, all those natural resource components that deal with water, including groundwater well registration. So where your water comes from, surface water. Those are the components that the agency follows through with, and our staff and our teammates work with every day. So our mission and principles here at the Department of Natural Resources is to safeguard our most precious natural resources through partnerships, cooperations, and science-based decision-making that will help grow Nebraska's future. So some of the projects that we do on a regular basis are things like groundwater modeling. So we're really interested on what's the impact of the environment and how it changes, how much water we might take out of the ground, how much water is going back in through rain and other sources, and we evaluate that to model a future condition. So if we're going to have a lot more people in the city of Lincoln, how does that groundwater withdrawal impact the groundwater resources over time? If we're going to irrigate our crops, and some of you might have been out through Nebraska and you see the large irrigation pivot systems that generally pump groundwater, what's the impact over time of that groundwater pumping? How sustainable can it be? How can we help Nebraskans and producers make better decisions about how and when they use their water? Also, drought planning is a really important component because we have to be resilient in those conditions when we don't necessarily have the natural rainfalls. Some of you might have heard about the Ogallala Aquifer. And here in Nebraska, we're blessed with a very deep and robust Ogallala Aquifer, whereas other states that have the Ogallala Aquifer are like Texas, New Mexico, Kansas, Colorado. They've really tapped into that resource too much, and it's not sustainable for them anymore. Here in Nebraska, we've recognized many decades ago that we would need to manage that resource to make sure it's available now and into the future to come. So we're way ahead in that process, and the Department of Natural Resources is an agency and a group of people that helps people make the decisions to make sure that we have that sustainable resource moving into the future. So one of the things that we're really trying to address moving forward is to be certain that people have the information to make decisions about natural resources. And all these things have to take into consideration our changing environment, whether or not there's more or less rainfall, whether or not droughts might impact us. That's another piece of information that the department works with on a regular basis. We use a lot of technology, and one way you can see those things is you can look at our website where we have story maps that show some of the various projects and things that we're doing, and you can follow along to see how and what kind of data we might collect, how we're analyzing that, how we interact with various people, our stakeholders in the communities and around Nebraska. So take a look at our website. You can also look at our any rain component of our website. This is where we talk about and show how we collect rainfall data on a local basis, and local by people like you or your parents are collecting that data and posting it up. So that community-based component is really important to supplement the other rainfall data that we have, which isn't as widespread. So a good way to contribute. So that's really why management of our natural resources, and water in particular, is important for you to consider right now. It's important for your future so that you have a sustainable quantity and quality of water, which again, next to our people, water is the most important thing you can have, right? So you need a clean, sustainable source that's going to be managed long term to provide for all the things that we get to enjoy in Nebraska. So the Department of Natural Resources and Nebraskans need you to be a water expert. We need you to be a water geek, a water nerd, to understand all of these things because it is valuable and it's really important to just not your future, but Nebraska's future. So I hope you're interested in water, and we'll look at some of these resources and ask us questions, because there's also an opportunity for you to become a scientist, become a water expert in your career. And Nebraska is a great place to be able to do that because of all of our water resources. So work to be a water nerd and learn everything you can about our water resources.